In 1988 on Earth, Peter is told to go inside to see his mother who is dying of cancer. She gives him a present before she passes and wants to hold his hands before she goes, but he is afraid. Peter is grieving for his mother and his grandpa takes him out. He runs out and gets picked up by a spaceship. 26 years later on Maniac, an abandoned planet, Peter goes treasure hunting while dancing to some great songs. Peter uses a device to pull an orb out from a barrier. Gunmen show up to take the orb from him and detain Peter because Ronan has some questions for him. Peter vaporizes the guards with the light bomb and shoots the last one to retrieve the orb. Korath gets up and shoots at Peter but misses. Peter took the opportunity to escape to his ship while they tried to shoot him down. When he escapes, he loses control after getting hit with a jet of water, but he gets the ship under control. Peter forgot Barit was still on the ship and he flew away. Peter gets a call from Yondu asking about the orb and he doesn't want to tell Yondu anything, so he hangs up. Yondu puts a bounty on Peter and he wants to know who else wants the orb. On the Dark Aster ship, Ronan gets ready to execute a Xandarian for revenge because he wants to cure Xander's filth. Korath returns to the ship to update Ronan on the orb and he sends Nebula to retrieve the orb. Gamera offers to go because she knows Xander better and has yet to fail a mission. On Xander, Rocket roasts the people and finds Peter on the wanted list. Peter meets with the broker to give him the orb until he mentions Ronan. The broker kicks him out because Ronan wants to destroy Xander's culture. Gamera is waiting outside to take the orb, but Peter throws a device to bind her down and they start fighting. Rocket saves Peter from Gamera and Groot tries to bag up the bounty. Peter takes the opportunity to run away while Gamera frees herself. She throws a stick at Peter and goes after the dropped orb. Peter catches her and puts a device on her to blast her away. Groot bags up Peter but Gamera is already back for the next round. When she opens the bag, Peter shoots her with a stun gun and runs away. Rocket shoots a stunner at a fleeing Peter, but they are all arrested by the Nova Corp. They were all transported to the Kiln, a high-security prison, and how Gamera wanted to betray Ronan by selling the orb to a third party to escape from Thanos' grasp. Peter confronts a guard for using his music player and the guard hits him with a stunner. They are sprayed with a liquid and they change into their prison uniforms. The other prisoners start throwing things at Gamera because of her past actions and associations. An inmate intimidated Peter, but Groot asserted his dominance while Rocket announced to everyone to not mess with them because Groot would wreck them. The inmates are sleeping in a group and some other inmates take Gamera to a secluded room to off her for revenge. Drax shows up because he wants to off one of Ronan's underlings for revenge for his dead family. Gamera takes control and has a blade to their necks. She denounces her relationship with Ronan and Thanos, but Drax doesn't believe her. Peter tries to reason with Drax because Ronan will go after Gamera when he finds out she betrayed him. That will allow Drax to end Ronan. Drax likes the plan and lets Gamera go. Peter saves Gamera because he wants to sell the orb to her buyer and Rocket will help them escape the prison. Gamera is willing to split the profit to escape Thanos and Ronan. Rocket plans out the escape plan and what he will need because they need to take control of the Watchtower. Groot starts the prison breakout because he took the battery while Rocket is still explaining the plan. Rocket is annoyed because they were supposed to get the battery last, so the others get whatever's left. The drones start shooting at Groot, but it's doing no damage while Groot destroys the drones. Drax knocks out a couple of guards aiming at Groot and gives Rocket a weapon so he can go on a rampage. Peter takes the prosthetic leg and knocks a guard out. Gamera knocks out a bunch of guards to take the device and gives it to Rocket. They regroup at the entrance of the Watchtower and Groot tosses out the guard. More guards with RPGs show up and they are surrounded. Luckily, Rocket had enough time to turn off the artificial gravity and took control of the drones to break out. They grab their things, but Peter can't find his MP3 player and plans to get it back while the others go to his ship. Rocket wants to fly away, but Peter has the orb on him. Peter knocks out the guy to take his MP3 back and flies to the ship. Asakaaren informs Ronan about Gamera's betrayal and Thanos wants to speak with him. Ronan is pissed he's being summoned because Gamera messed up. Asakaaren is annoyed with how Ronan speaks to Thanos, so Ronan ends him. Thanos will honor their agreement if he gets the orb, but if he fails again, Ronan is done for. Nebula warns Ronan not to fight this because he won't win and goes to the Kiln. They argue about why Ronan and Thanos need the orb while Peter tries to calm the situation and wants the coordinates to her buyer to get paid. Yondu goes to the broker to ask who the buyer is and its use. The broker doesn't want to tell until Yondu threatens him. Ronan and Nebula go to the Kiln to get information on the orb, but no one knows anything, so he wants to end everyone because he doesn't want the Nova Corp to find out what they are after. They arrive at nowhere to meet the buyer's representative. Gamera tells Peter what Thanos did to her when she was little and how he trained her to become a weapon. She asks about the MP3 and Peter tells her it was a gift from his dying mother. He lets her listen and they almost kiss until Gamera stops it. Peter is forced to stop the fight because of name-calling and Rocket sucks it up for the money. Karina comes to pick them up to lead them to the collector Tyvan. Peter gives the orb to Tyvan and he gives them a history of the Infinity Stones because the Power Stone was inside the orb. Karina takes the Power Stone for herself, but her body can't take in all the power and she causes an explosion. Gamera takes back the stone because Tyvan can't contain its power and wants to give it to the Nova Corp to keep it safe. Rocket wants to give it to Ronan while Peter still wants to sell it for money. Gamera is ready to leave them but Drax just had to call Ronan and Yondu shows up after. Nebula sees Gamera escaping and goes after her with Ronan. Drax attacks Ronan but he's just getting wrecked. Ronan doesn't remember ending his family and tosses him into a pool of water. Nebula locks onto Gamera and tells everyone to go after her. Gamera's amazing piloting skills helped her avoid the pursuer. Peter tells Rocket to assist Gamera so Rocket rams into others because the pod is nearly indestructible. Peter hijacked one of the ships to shoot at the enemy ships. Gamera had to head out into space because she was trapped. She pleads to Nebula to let her go because the stone is too dangerous but Nebula shoots her anyway. Nebula retrieves the orb and returns to Ronan so they can leave together. Rocket plans to leave Gamera because there is no way to save her. Peter gives Yondu his coordinates so they will get him and he goes out to save Gamera by giving her his mask. Luckily Groot was there and saved him and Rocket scolds Drax for causing all this mess. Drax realizes he messed up but Rocket shames him for it because he's getting other people involved. Groot wants to save them from the Ravagers and that annoys Rocket because he just wants to live. Ronan lets Thanos know they have the orb but he plans to use the stone for himself. When he's about to explode he puts the stone into his weapon to survive. He vows to destroy Xander and Thanos after. Nebula sides with Ronan because Thanos turns her into a cyborg. Yondu comes in time to save them and he starts beating Peter for betraying them. Gamera warns them about Ronan's plan and wants to inform the Xandarians about the attack. Peter baits the payout to Yondu and he lets Peter go because he wants the money. Rocket shoots at the large ship to get their attention because he will blow them up if they don't return their team. Peter informs them that they have an understanding but Rocket is dumbfounded because they need to get the stone back from Ronan. Rocket laughs at Peter's half-baked plan because it's not even considered a plan. Peter asks for their support while giving a great leadership speech about saving many lives and the possibility of death. Gamera steps up and shortly after everyone else joins in for the fight. They give information about the Infinity Stone and plan out the mission while preparing for the battle. Yondu reminds Peter at the end of it that he will get the stone and if Peter crosses him, he's dead meat. Corpseman Day informs Irani about Ronan's attack and he believes Peter's info isn't BS. The Ravagers shoot a decoy at the arriving ship to attack them from the side. When they breach the ship Yondu and Peter start attacking their way to the breach. Yondu is hit and falls down and before Peter goes down, the Nova Corp comes in with the assist. They fly into the breach and shoot down the soldiers until the ship comes to a stop. Ronan wants to ignore everything because once they reach the ground he can destroy Xander. The Nova fleet links up to create a barrier to push back Ronan's ship. The gang arrives in a dark room so Groot lights it up. Nebula shows up out of nowhere to scold Gamera for being a traitor and Drax blasts Nebula away. She self-regenerates so Gamera is forced to fight her. Peter runs into Karatha's group and Karath is just wrecking Peter while the others deal with the Sokka-Arans. Drax tries to help Peter but he's getting wrecked too. Groot on the other hand is just soloing most of the Sokka-Arans with some help from Peter's run and gun. Drax can finally get the upper hand and ends Karath. More Sokka-Arans come so Groot just impales a group of them and smashes the rest of them. Ronan's henchmen surround Yondu and order him to call off his group but Yondu ends them all with his weapon. They start kamikazeing Nova so Rocket shoots them down and orders the Nova Corp to continue with the barrier while they shoot down enemy ships. Rocket orders the Ravagers to shoot up at the kamikaze ships. Ronan had enough and takes out the barrier with the Power Stone. The Nova Corp was destroyed but there is nothing Peter can do until Gamera opens the door. Gamera is losing at first but she kicks Nebula out of the ship. Luckily Nebula gets a hold of something but she didn't want Gamera's help and dropped onto an incoming ship to take over. Gamera opens the door and takes out some Sokka-Arans. Peter shoots a missile at Ronan but it does not affect him. He blasts them back and catches Drax who was charging at him. Rocket flies the ship into Ronan and that disabled Ronan's ship. Peter grabs Rocket out of the ship and Gamera drags Drax to safety. Groot surrounds them with his branches while the ship falls. Everyone but Groot survive the crash and Ronan emerges from the ship. Rocket is blasted away for rushing Ronan and starts repairing a weapon when he gets up. Ronan is ready to destroy Xander but Peter challenges Ronan to a dance-off to waste time. Drax shoots at the Power Stone as it breaks its weapon. Peter grabs the stone and is ready to explode but the group shares the pain so Peter can use the stone to wipe out Ronan. Once Ronan is eliminated Gamera covers the stone back up. Yondu comes to collect the orb for payment and Peter is forced to give it to him. Peter warns Yondu about the orb before they leave but Peter already swaps the orb before giving it to him. Peter finds out he's half human and the other half is an ancient being so he can hold the stone for that long without exploding. The Nova Corp thanks them for saving Xander and for gratitude they repair their ship and erase their criminal history. The Nova Corp stashes away the orb while the Ravagers are partying. Yondu opens the orb to find a troll inside. Peter finally reads the letter from his mom and listens to the new track. The Guardians of the Galaxy leave Xander to go on their next adventure. Well, that's it for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. If you got up to this far, here is the next part or other recaps. Also don't forget to like and subscribe and thanks for watching.